Hi, my name is Thomas. Welcome to my workshop. Today I'm gonna make an incredibly cool skill toy and I will show you an amazing alternative to featherboards. These are featherboards and their purpose is to apply constant pressure against the workpiece, keeping it flat against the jig, the fence or the table surface. It is not a big deal to make them. You simply cut off a board at an angle of about 30 degrees. The row of flexible fingers here can be simply cut with a table saw, a bandsaw, a jigsaw or a miter saw. I've made these slots in here, which give me quite a range of mounting points, and mounted on a runner and used inside the miter slot of your table gives you some more flexibility. So for certain use cases, really important. And when I made the first project with my tiny wood workshop, at a certain point I needed to joint misaligned edges, which were the result of some bad glue ups. And I made a very simple table saw based jointer jig for this. My featherboards weren't suitable, so I used my hands to hold down the workpieces, which was quite dangerous because my hands nearly touched the blade. So I needed a way to joint these edges, and after 30 minutes hack I came up with this simple circular saw jig, which didn't work out that well. And as I wanted to joint the edges of the lumber but not mine, I did some more engineering. So I needed a solution for this. First I thought to make a couple of featherboards, but I wanted a much more flexible and more scalable solution. So I came up with this, the BENCH SUPER FLEX FLATBAR. The two mounting blocks have fairly long slots, and the flat bar in between is adjustable. But let's see this in action now. And to not produce sawdust only for nothing, I'm going to make a skill toy, which is just the perfect project for this demonstration, because I'm going to use my table saw based jointer jig and the router table. The skill toy I'm going to make consists of 3 pieces, one long bar in the middle and 2 pieces attached at the ends of the bar. For the first step of the build, I had to set up the table saw. I prepared these 2 bars, which had quite misaligned edges. The very first step was jointing the edges. For pushing the workpiece horizontally against the fence, I used the BENCH SUPER FLEX FLATBAR. Both jigs have quite long slots, giving me a wide range of mounting points. The flatbar is laterally mounted on these jigs. There are 2 small screw knobs for tightening and untightening. As my threaded anchors on the inner side, I'm using T-nuts. Once tightened the screw knob, a rectangle slightly bent piece of metal with a sharp edge keeps the flat bar from moving. But it's important to push the workpiece not only against the jig, but also against the table surface. And for this purpose, I made these simple holders. 2 threaded inserts on the back side of the table saw jig are my threaded anchors for the bones. The concept how the flat bar is mounted and hold it in place is very similar to that of the horizontal flatbar jig. And here we go. One step in this whole build is a bit risky, so I have prepared 2 bars to have one in reserve in case of failure. Okay, the first step was done. I have 2 nice square bars. The bar for the skill toy has to become octagonal, so I had to set up the router table. The router was angled to 45 degrees. Once again I used the BENCH SUPER FLEX FLATBAR for pushing the workpiece against the fence. And this time, for holding down the workpiece horizontally, I have made these extension jigs. It's important to mount these jigs slightly above the level of the fence, in order to make the flat bar pushing down directly at the fence. And once again I'm using threaded inserts for the bolts with the flat bar mounting jigs. And here we go again. Now the second step was done and I had 2 nice octagonal bars. Then I needed some curved grooves all the way down the bar. The challenge was to push the bar through the router table and rotating it constantly. I have never tried this out before. I started with the first groove, rotating the bar from time to time. Then I turned the piece on the other side and started with the same procedure. Once I started with the rotation, suddenly happened this. The horizontally pushing flat bar got trapped inside the groove which I made before. Pulling the piece back and giving it a retry was not possible anymore, because I already began with the rotation and hitting exactly the same groove might have been difficult. Fortunately, I had prepared 2 bars, so I was allowed to fail once. And at this point I was already trained a bit, so the first groove of the second bar, no big deal anymore. And in order to get the first rotation of the second groove done, I have learned from the failure before that I will have to pull up slightly the flat bar in order to make it sliding over the already existing groove. And at this time everything worked out fine. The third step was done. I had at least 1 octagonal bar with 2 curved grooves all the way down the workpiece, each of which was spirally running around half bar. So the first part of the skill toy is finished. I think it really turned out great. And fortunately I've prepared 2 pieces because I failed with the first one. Anyway, this was just a perfect project to showcase the BENCH SUPER FLEX FLATBAR, which is all I need for such use cases. What the BENCH SUPER FLEX FLATBAR not does, and featherboards instead do, it does not prevent the workpiece from being dragged backwards by saw blade friction. This hasn't been really an issue so far, and I will think of it, and maybe I can show you a solution even for this in my next video. So more about this and the finishing of the skill toy in my next video. As far as this video is concerned, I hope you enjoyed it. If so, please hit the like button. If possible, help sharing it. Subscribe to the Tiny Woodworkshop channel. Thank you very much for your attention and see you in the next video.